I'm breathing underwater, I'm weightless through space. I'm soaring like an eagle all over this place. Creatures most will never see are waiting there to look at me, and all I gotta do is breathe underwater. The President of the United States is on a goodwill tour of several countries. After that, he's supposed to head to Geneva for a peace conference. His presence is vital because he's the calming influence in NATO, the one who can convince the other countries that peace is worth preserving. There's just one problem. On the last leg of the tour, he fell and hit his head. It's bad. He's unconscious and likely needs surgery to relieve a subdural hematoma that's compressing his brain.
Contact our destroyer. Tell him to stand by.
Over Hansley Press Corps. I'm with the official party. Well, Larry, what's the big delay?
You've got 500,000 people waiting out there.
Plans have changed, Joe.
They've changed.
Let's just call it a security matter.
What about the motorcade?
Do me a favor, will you? Save the questions. Don't push. Don't play reporter. When it's time to release the story, I'll give you the whole scan.
I know that, Larry, but
Take my word for it. It's big enough to warrant a little patience, even from you.
This will be the last time we see James Doohan as Tobin. When Henry Kulke died suddenly, they invited him to be the new Curly. He passed and decided to do this odd new show called Star Trek instead. You can fill in your own "the rest is history" type line.
Ready to go ashore, Admiral?
For a secret emergency mission, we seem to have a welcoming committee.
Norfolk, Virginia. Very hospitable town.
They'll get into a car and be whisked away to somewhere so they can get their orders. And they take an extra man with them.
Won't you sit down? Been in the Navy long, sailor?
Oh, I'm not in the Navy anymore. I work for a research outfit.
Really? Must be very interesting work.
It's a living. How long do these meetings generally last?
I wouldn't know. The regular receptionist is out sick today.
Isn't that convenient? Right when this big deal is happening. Kowalski is too busy sneaking peeks at her to think about that.
Briefly, gentlemen, our problem is this.
As I said, convenient. A little too convenient, and I think a little too common for an Irwin Allen show. I'd expect a bit more imagination out of him.
The President, immediately following his current goodwill tour of South America, had planned to visit the NATO countries and attend the summit meeting in Geneva.
That meeting is scheduled for exactly 1 week from today. His presence is absolutely essential, and it's become our responsibility to get him there.
The catch is we have to get him there alive. That's not a given at the moment. They explain why. Edward Platt, billed today as Edward C. Platt, acted in more movies than I can count and was a successful character actor on TV. That's funny because he started out wanting to be an opera singer. He did everything from Mozart to Gilbert and Sullivan. Jose Ferrer became his friend and more or less steered him into movies. He mainly did drama, but he wanted to break into comedy as well. He got his chance as well as his slice of immortality when he landed the role of the chief on Get Smart. He enjoyed doing it, and it made him a household name. He died in March of 1974. Initial reports said he had a heart attack, but they were mistaken. Later on, his son revealed that Edward had been having financial troubles that threw him into a deep depression, and he took his own life. Even right up to this moment, this is happening too often. If you're struggling, reach out. Whatever you're battling, you don't have to do it alone. Please don't try. Reach out. As long as you're breathing, it's not too late. Please.
It is hoped that surgery can be avoided through the use of the MGQ. That's a machine that I've developed to dissolve these hematomas.
Hey, I said no MSG. We won't learn what it stands for, but it's a revolutionary new thing. Translation, experimental. But the suits are jittery enough about this conference to risk it.
The Seaview can solve several of our problems.
We can keep a tight rein on security.
Her medical facilities are further advanced than anything afloat. She can transport the surgical team quickly in complete secrecy and have all the equipment ready to use the moment the President comes aboard.
Oh, where will that occur?
You will rendezvous with the destroyer in the Caribbean at a prearranged time and place.
He'll get the precise location and time and some sealed orders that will be delivered to him later. The man gives him a key that will open the orders.
We have learned that the American president is gravely ill, and intelligence indicates there is the possibility of an emergency operation. We must have full and complete details at once if we are to exploit this crisis to our fullest advantage. I expect an immediate report.
This is the golden opportunity we have been waiting for. Ow, I burned my nose! Those are the sealed orders he mentioned. Let's notice several things. First, the paper with the info on it was folded over so no lettering is visible. He then put it into a metal compartment so you can't see any portion of it. Are we all on the same page? Good. Keep that stuff in mind for just a moment.
I was told to report to you, sir.
Yes, Kowalski. Your left arm, please. Admiral Nelson is waiting for these orders aboard the Seaview. You will deliver this container of microfilm to him personally.
Yes, sir.
We've taken certain precautions. You'll follow the prescribed route exactly.
Kowalski finally gets to find out why he's there, other than to try and get a future date with the cute secretary. There's one little problem with that. We never saw him ask her name.
LRO to 7X35. LRO to 7X35.
She reports about the courier, and Kowalski is away. Or not. That guy gathers his cable and heads into the bushes while Kowalski listens to the pretty bells ringing.
What happened to you?
I cycle.
Aw, shucks, the bells stopped. He'll be out for a while. Now, remember that stuff I asked you to keep in mind? Here's why. The first time I saw this scene, I said, why did that guy put it in there with the lettering visible? He didn't. He folded it over and sealed it in metal. I want to know what that thing is, because if it's not illegal, it should be. They take a couple of photos and return him to the road. It's official. I'm dead and this is heaven.
How long was I out?
A minute or so.
Thanks.
It's not heaven, and she's anything but an angel. His bike still works, so he finishes the trip and reports to the Admiral. Now, here's the weird part. As far as we can tell, they won't do anything with the information. So what was the point?
I don't know how long I'll be away, but I know the clinic will be in good hands. I'm leaving you in full charge.
I will not disappoint you. And have a good trip, Dr. Taylor.
Well, let us say a successful trip.
Yes.
Goodbye, Laura.
Goodbye.
Tragic. He's supposed to operate the MBA. Speaking of which, she's demonstrating it.
Go.
When you hold it backwards like this, the smoke comes out from places you don't want to think about.
That's it. Well, a raw egg exposed to the MGQ ray for a few brief seconds. Now you can understand the power of this machine. Could I have an ashtray, please? Without damaging the outer surface, We can change the molecular structure of a raw egg.
That's what she plans to do to the president. They'll bring this machine on board the Seaview so she can use it there.
The MGQ reactor, you see, adds a magnetic element to the Q ray.
What's a Q ray? In 1964, I have no idea. In the 2000s, some outfit made what they called a Q-ray bracelet that was supposed to align the ions in your body or something like that. This thing doesn't look like a bracelet.
Radioactive isotopes, could you please help?
Oh, sure.
Are injected into the patient's bloodstream, used at a normal intensity. See, the magnetic ray brings the radioactivity of the isotopes into play on the malignant tissue, or the hematoma, or whatever it is we wish to dissolve.
I've mentioned many times that in the 50s and 60s, radiation was magic. It could produce mutants with incredible powers, and now we learn that it can be directed to dissolve stuff if you use magnets to point it the right way. I think that's what she said.
But if the rays intensify to this extreme, surely they will know that something is wrong.
No. See, they won't know. They'll have no idea that I've increased the power of this machine to a destructive level. Because the gauges and the dials, they show normal readings. When I turn on this designated switch, the power shows normal intensity. Now, when I turn on this hidden switch, the curative ray becomes, in effect, a death ray.
She seems so enthusiastic about it, doesn't she? That's the way it is with people who have no conscience. They're empty inside. They're ripe fruit for someone like that guy to pick. Given their accents, he may also have something on her or be holding someone she cares about. The Soviets did that a lot, mainly because it worked. In real life, Vivica Lindfors was Swedish and Barry Kroger was a Texan. But they're both doing passable somewhere in the Eastern Bloc accents. Everything is arranged. They'll rendezvous with the destroyer carrying the president at a certain location and time. The next question, how do we get him on board?
The president and any other passengers will be transferred from the destroyer to Seaview by means of a diving bell.
Underwater transfer? That's pretty risky.
Not as risky as being spotted by a plane or a trawler nosing around in international waters.
Fair point. Then again, the Seaview is a civilian research vessel, so if questions come up, they can just say they were researching civilians. The surgical team is ready to come aboard. Everyone is hoping the MPG will dissolve the hematoma and surgery won't be necessary, but they'll be ready just in case.
Dr. Krantz, good to see you again.
Thank you. This is Dr. Adam, my anesthesiologist.
I'll have your luggage taken aboard.
These are personal things.
Just a routine precaution.
The nurse doesn't warrant an introduction because she's just a woman.
Your name, please?
Laura Rettig, a radiologist. I am taking Dr. Taylor's place.
Yes, I know.
She's also just a woman, but she has a fancy machine invented by a man, so that's different. The machine is already on board and in sick bay. While the Seaview gets underway, she'll start fiddling with it and testing her hidden switch.
Depth 200, Captain.
Depth 200.
Speed 35 knots.
I ordered 40.
Yes, sir, I know. My reading here is 35.
Engine room. My order was 40 knots. How do you read?
4-0, Captain, just like you ordered.
The speedometer isn't the only instrument that's acting weird. Pretty much everything is, including sonar.
What's the course on your gyro repeater?
235, true, Captain.
Mr. Morton, what course are we steering?
170, sir.
This is a better ship than we thought. We're going in two directions at once.
That was a lapse on someone's part. If you tell an experienced, hard-bitten submariner he works on a ship, those may be fighting words. They call it a boat, and you had better call it that too if you know what's good for you. That settles it. Something is hosing the compass. The only thing that could do all this is a large magnetic field. There's nothing around them that could generate one, so the only source of magnetism they know about is the MJB.
Dr. Rettig. Dr. Rettig, do you have any magnetic gear in here?
Magnetic?
Anything that might affect our instruments?
Well, the MGQ does produce a magnetic ray, but hardly enough to influence your instruments.
Have you turned on that machine at all?
Well, of course, to make sure it was operative.
He has her test it while Captain Crane monitors the instruments. As long as she doesn't throw her little switch, there's no effect. The problem must lie somewhere else. Crane isn't so sure. This is his boat, and he will know what's screwing with it.
Chip, I want detection devices set up throughout the ship. Hook them up with our computer. We may be getting some kind of magnetic feedback. The next time it happens, the computer should be able to triangulate its position.
Right now, they don't even know if they're on the right course, and their depth could be questionable. My mistake, their depth is wrong. They have to scramble some damage teams, but there's one big problem the teams can't get to.
Get it open quick! I can't! It's stuck! Pressure building up in all the tanks.
How bad?
Not good.
Check all points in damage control.
Yes, sir. So that pressure's building up faster than we can handle it.
I'm a little unclear about what's producing this pressure, but whatever it is, it's doing a good job of it.
We can bleed off the port side tanks in a matter of minutes. We'll have an explosion that'll put us on the bottom.
It's got to be one of the aft controls that's stuck. Either 7 or 9.
It would be the most inaccessible part of the ship.
They finally get the panel open, and that young crewman, Clark by name, is sure he can crawl in there and get things unstuck. But if the pressure reaches a certain level, they'll have to open a valve and flood that whole compartment, whether he's in there or not. He'll take the chance. It's a long way, and there's crackling electricity, steam, and lots of other hazards, but he reaches the stuck gear. And yes, I'm choosing to skim over the fact that Admiral Nelson also called it a ship. Clark had a major part here, but for whatever reason, he's not listed in the credits. His real name was Paul Carr, and we've seen him several times before, twice in the Time Tunnel, as well as in Land of the Giants and Batman. He was another of those hard-working character actors without whom television would have been a lot more boring, and a lot of big stars never would have become big stars. He freed the gear, but now it's got his arm pinned and he can't get loose. He also knows that dial is getting dangerously close to the point where they'll have to put that plate back on and flood the area. As if Captain Crane is going to let that happen. He realizes something's wrong, so he's going in after Clark. If the pressure reaches the critical point, they'll both be sacrificial lambs.
2.5 points over. We can't wait much longer. Put the plate back.
But, sir...
Put it back!
He'll let it go as long as he possibly can, but there's nothing for it. Break the glass and get ready to open the valve.
Hey. Okay.
9, 10. Curly. Wait! Pressure's dropping.
Take that plate off and get them out of there. Then, for heaven's sake, get Clark to sick bay, and once the mission is over, give him 6 months of shore leave and unlimited pocket money. He's earned at least that. And put him in the credits while you're at it, Irwin. It won't take long to get the repairs made and make up the time they've lost. They're at the rendezvous point, and the president is on board.
Welcome aboard, sir.
I'll be assisting Dr. Gramps.
Over here. Commander Jameson. Dr. Reddick. Dr. Adams.
Doctor?
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 They won't scrub up until they've tried the MLB. Dr. Rettig is warming it up right now, and she's flipped her little switch.
There they go again, Captain.
Any heavy interference, sir?
Computer's busy, too.
A number of people told me what that thing is. It's a binary output display. It's flashing the answers to their questions, and somebody knows how to read it. Good thing, too.
That should be enough. Inject the isotope solution, please.
Frame 60.
Readings are normal again, Admiral.
Frame 60, that's sick bay.
They're just about to put the president's head under the MRS when the admiral bursts in and stops them.
Coleman, you won't stop me now!
Whoa, just think what that could have done if the president's head had been made of glass. Forget the MLP, we'll do this the old-fashioned way and save the president's life. With the surgery done, it's back to port at Norfolk.
Another item for your memory book, Lee. Personal thank you from the President of the United States.
Uh-oh. Irwin, I'm afraid I've got bad news for you. Until further notice, you and your men are restricted to the ship.
Now what? I don't understand, George. The President's fine.
We can't take chances on this news leaking out. Not until the White House has notified the press. I'm sorry. You did a great job.
Uh-huh. Great job. Thank you so very much. Excuse me, I think I just stepped in a pile of your gratitude.
I'm breathing underwater. I'm weightless through space. I'm soaring like an eagle all over this place. Creatures most will never see are waiting there to look at me. And all I gotta do is breathe underwater.
Those are the SEAL... Smoke some... Oh, good grief. Come rendezvous with the... Somehow I knew I wasn't going to get through that one. That dial is getting dangerous close. If the pressure... Pronounce your words, dude.